Japan's government is facing its own chorus of disapproval. The central bank chief has turned up the heat on Prime Minister Yukio Hatoyama, warning that the government must contain the world's largest debt or risk losing investor trust. Intensifying the row, Bank of Japan Governor Shirakawa had already refused to bow to government pressure to set targets for prices in the fight against inflation. And joining me now to assess all this, Martin Schulz, senior economist at Fujitsu Research Institute. Martin, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Good morning.
Do you see this row between the Bank of Japan and the government continuing to intensify?
Well, it is already pretty intense. The government obviously wants to sell its debt to the Bank of Japan, and the Bank of Japan is firing back. And it has lots of firepower with the Greek crisis and more insecurity about sovereign debt around the world. So I don't think that this is really going on in an important way. It will be in the news, of course, over the next months when we are going towards an election year.
I mean, does Japan need an inflation target, Martin, as the finance minister said this week?
Well, Japan certainly needs an end of deflation. When you look at overall deflation going out of last year, it is 3%. This is even by Japanese standards unprecedented. But the Bank of Japan is always stressing, and I think it is right on this account, that it can do very little than providing liquidity in terms of bank lending facilities and so on. The point here is we have major overcapacity still. This needs to be run down, and I think this will continue throughout this year. I expect that deflation is significantly down next year, and we probably will see an end of deflation by the end of next year.
The monthly report is crossing the Bloomberg terminal, Martin, as we speak. You are quite optimistic about Japan's future. Where does this optimism lie?
Well, Japan has refocused its overseas market dependence quite a bit on Asia, and this is a very smart and very important move. Japan already has production networks throughout Asia. Now it's starting to sell even more throughout Asia. Demand here is very strong. I expect to be demand even stronger throughout the year. This is very helpful. Plus, we have simply the supply side cycle in restocking all the facilities, all the machinery which have been run down during the crisis so much. This is traditionally helping Japan. So we have basically two traditional channels plus a new market. This is very good news for the economy.
The big story today, Martin, of course, is a non-Japan story. It's the Fed raising its discount rate by 0.25%. Did it take you by surprise that it happened so quickly? Yes, Bernanke did flag it, but we weren't expecting it this quickly, were we?
Well, we expected it basically over the next 1 or 2 months at the latest. The discount rate is always the first the central bank has to raise. We have lots of experience here when going out of quantitative easing. This is what the Bank of Japan did in a couple of years ago as well. This normalization of money markets is extremely important. It's an important step, and from a Japan perspective, it's even more important because we see the dollar by this move quite a bit stronger. This is helping Japan in the long run.
Martin, thanks for joining us. Martin Schulz there from Fujitsu Research.